Hi, and welcome back to Sculpture for ages 5 to 8. We're going to be putting away our paper for now. We're not going to use that again until the last lesson, but we are going to use quite a bit of it at the end. But for today, we're going to use some of our model magic. So I want you to get a package of each color: blue, yellow, red, and white. And I find the best way to open it is to use a pair of scissors. So I just use a pair of scissors and then kind of rip it open after that. You can rip it open and get out your colors. And you can see, like, if some of it sticks to the wrapper a little bit, just take the rest of it and just kind of do like that, and it pulls the rest of it off. It's great. You can get rid of the wrappers, put the clay out a little bit to about there, and open up the other ones. Get them all opened up there. Get out our yeller. There we go. And some red. There we go. This one's a little tougher. Come on, get out of there. There we go. Get all the last little bits of clay. We don't want to waste any of it. Okay. Some red, and then finally our white. Get that opened up. All right, so now we've got all of our colors here. And to start with, the first thing we have to do is we have to make little balls of each of the colors except for white. The white right now, just kind of set it off to the side. I'm going to set it over here. Go over here, white. There you go, right there. You can just sit there and wait. And when you're doing this, you don't want to have any of the colors really touch each other, because once they start touching, like, they already kind of mix a little bit, and we don't want to do that yet. So I want you to take every color, and I want you to make 3 small balls of each color. And they don't have to be perfect balls. So, like, we're just going to be mixing them anyway. So, just kind of make them about like that big or so. Kind of small. Not too big. We're not going to use a lot of the color today, but it doesn't have to be perfect. Just kind of get like 3 balls of each color. And what we're going to do is we're going to mix the colors today and talk about how they mix and what they do. All right. And you want to make your balls of yellow to be the biggest out of the 3 colors. You kind of want, in fact, my blue are pretty big. They're probably too big. I'll make them smaller. But when you're mixing the colors together, the 3 primary colors, which are these 3 colors, blue, yellow, and red, are the 3 primary colors. Blue is the strongest color, and yellow is the weakest color, and red is kind of in the middle. So what does that mean? So it means if I was going to try and get some green, which is mixing blue and yellow, trying to mix those 2 together, to get a perfect good green, you want to have less blue than yellow. In fact, it has to be about twice the size. You can see it's pretty big compared to my blue. That's going to get you a good green. If you have too much blue, it's going to be kind of a bluish green, or it's going to be a dark green. And if you want your green to be even lighter, use even more yellow. And red should be about in the middle, because red is stronger than yellow, but it's weaker than blue. So get 3 balls of each one. There we go. And like I said, they don't have to be perfect balls. It doesn't matter, because we're just going to mix them anyways. So let's start with mixing some green. So like I said, you want to have more yellow than blue. I might even take a little blue out of this one, because you can always add more blue to it, and it's easier to add more of the stronger color to change your colors than to add more of the weaker color. So what you do to mix these though is you just take both balls and smash them together and smush them and smash them and smush them and smash them. How I like to do it is I kind of like to fold it over on itself and then smush it with my thumbs, fold it over again, smush it, and just keep smushing it. You can see it's already turning green. It's pretty cool. This stuff feels really good in your hands. It's nice and light clay. It's really smushy and soft. It's really fun to play with. I love this type of clay. It's probably my favorite. Now, I've got it all mixed up, and it might take you a little bit longer. My hands are pretty big, so it goes pretty quick for me. You know, if your hands are a little smaller, it might take you a little longer to mix it. But, so let's say I want this to be a little bit darker. Then I'd take a little more blue and just mix it back in with it and mix it all in. It's going to make it a little bit darker, and you can always just keep adding more blue if you need it darker and darker. To make it lighter, you would add, like I said, you would add more yellow, but it's going to take more yellow to make it lighter than to be able to make it darker. So it's easier to just add less of your stronger color and then add more of that if you need to. See, it's just a little shade darker now. Looks pretty good. So take your green and just set it off to the side for now, and just don't let it touch the other colors. So I'm going to put your green over here. You just sit there. Actually, I'm going to have it sit over next to my white. My white was lonely. It's over there being lonely. We'll put that over there. So now we're going to make some orange. And take some yellow and some red. And those will make orange. Now, I think I might have too much red here again. Like this red ball is about the size of my yellow ball. Remember, I said it's easier to mix in more of the stronger color if you need. So I ripped that ball in half, and I've got about a ball about the size of my blue ball that I mixed with the yellow. And I'm going to mix those two together and smush and smush and smash. Just keep mixing it together. Mix and smush it and smash it. Ooh, it's turning orange already. There we go. Yeah, that's about a perfect orange already. I don't need to add any more red to this. It's looking pretty good to me. Already a good orange. I love it. It's beautiful. What a beautiful color. Nice, beautiful orange. I love it. All right, I'm going to put that aside over here with these guys. Let that sit there for now. And next, I want to make some purple. So you want to take some red and some blue, and you mix those two together. But again, like I might have too much blue, I can always add more later if I want. So I'm going to take some of that blue out and mix it with my red. Just use about half as much blue as you have red and mix those together. Because again, blue is stronger than red. It's a stronger color, and it's making a nice, beautiful purple already. I love it. It looks great. You want to keep mixing it until all of that color, all of that red and all of that blue changes completely to purple or green or orange or whatever color you're mixing. Looks good. Hopefully yours came out like this. If you need time, now you can just pause the video and catch up and get these three colors done. Okay, we still have one ball of each color left, and I want to make some brown and some gray. So to make brown or gray, you mix all three colors together. But if you want it to be brown, you need to have more yellow than blue and red. So I'm going to take a little bit of this blue out and a little bit of this red out. So you have it kind of like this. So you can see each ball is kind of in a progression. So we have the smallest ball is the blue, the red is kind of in the middle, and the yellow is the biggest ball. I'm going to put these over here for now. So you want to take all three of these and mix them up. Mix them and squish them and smash it together. And we should get a good brown out of this. But brown and gray are the hardest colors to make with this clay. So you might have to adjust it a little bit. We'll see what it looks like. But if you mix it and your color comes out too purple, then you need to add some yellow to it. If your color comes out too green, then you need to add some red to it. And if it looks too orange, you add blue to it. Because that talks about our color wheel. And you use the opposite color on the color wheel to make it more brown. But just remember, if it looks purple, add yellow. If it looks green, add red. If it looks orange, add blue. I don't know though, this looks like a pretty good brown. It's a good brown. We could have it be a little more tannish color. If you want it to be a little more tan, you could add some more yellow to it. We'll add some more yellow to this color and see what happens. It does look a little purplish, maybe, and I want it to be more of a nice brown tan color. So I add some more yellow to it, mix it all up, smush it in my hands. Yep, we got it a little lighter brown, a little closer to a true brown. I like that color better. This came out a lot nicer, I think. There we go. So we got some brown. Now we need some gray. For gray, though, you want to have a lot of blue and just a little bit of red and yellow. So you see here, I've got a ball about the same size of red and yellow, and my blue is just a little bit bigger than the other two. So let's see what happens when I mix it now. You can see here, the blue is just a little bit bigger than the red and yellow balls. So we'll mix all this together and we'll see what happens. If it's too blue, then we'd probably need to add a little more red and yellow. But we'll see. We'll see what it looks like once we mix it all together. You gotta be patient and mix it all together. It is looking kind of grayish. I think it's pretty good actually. Yeah, it came out great. It looks great. You're never gonna get like a black color with this type of clay. It'll never be black. This will be about as dark as it'll get. This grayish color is about the best you'll get for a dark black. This is about as close as it'll get. But that looks pretty good. All right, so we have all of these colors here. Now the question is, what should we make today? I want to make something kind of easy today. Got all of these colors and my white. I think we should make a snowman. Winter's coming. We want to make a snowman. Dress him up a little bit with some of these colors. I think that would be great. So take some white and rip it off here. And you want to make it into a ball. Now we do want a perfect good ball. The best way to make a nice ball of clay is to put it in your palms. And your palms naturally are kind of rounded in this spot here. So if you keep going around like this, and you know, my hands are kind of moving in circle motions around like that, and it makes a good ball. There we go. That's a nice perfect ball. Well, it's not perfect, but it's nice. It's a very good ball. So we're going to leave that there. Next, we want to make another ball, but to have it be just a little bit smaller than this one. So get some clay out and kind of judge it and roll up another ball. Want to make it just a little bit smaller than the first one. So we got to have 3 balls of snow for our snowman, and they want to be just a little bit smaller. That might be just a touch too small, but I'm going to try one more ball and we'll see where that kind of looks in between the 3. Don't stick them together until you get all 3 balls done, because you want to see like which one is the biggest and the smallest. The smallest one always goes on top. The middle sized one goes in the middle, of course. Yeah, see, this looks pretty good. This one definitely came out to be the middle sized one. So I'm going to take this. You don't have to press very hard. When you're using this type of clay, small, gentle pushes are the best. Small, gentle moves, always with this clay, gets you better results. If you're being really aggressive with it, it smashes and flattens really easily. So you want to be kind of gentle with this clay. I find it makes the best sculptures. So I take the biggest ball, take the next ball, and I just lightly stick it on. And you can see it's stuck. It's not falling off. That's what you want. It doesn't have to be, really smushed in there really hard. It just needs a little bit. I'll take the smallest ball, put that on the top for the head. We've got the beginnings of our snowman. And then I like to, when I got him like this, then I like to take him and put him on the table a little bit and just kind of push down on the bottom a little bit or on the head so that he'll stand up on his own. Get that bottom a little flat. You see it's a little flat now. Flatten out the bottom a little bit so it'll stand up on his own. Looks great. All right, the next thing we want to do is we want to make some buttons and some eyes for him. And that's what the gray is for. So in case we had like some lumps of coal or something, we'd have some nice eyes and buttons for him. So I want you to rip off a little bit of that gray. We're going to make a tiny, tiny little ball. And you see I put it in my fingers like that and kind of roll it around to get a tiny, tiny little ball like that. But we want 5 of those. So we're going to make 5 balls all about the same size. Little tiny ones though, because those will be his buttons and his eyes. So rip off a little more gray. If it's a little too big, just rip it off and put it back. Roll it in between your fingers like this. You could use the table with like one finger. That can work with a small ball. It doesn't usually work with the bigger ones, but with a small one it'll work. And rip off a little more. I've got 3. I need 5, which means I need 2 more. Got this one done. 1 left. All right. There we go. 5 balls. And then you can stick them onto our snowman. And I like to put one kind of near the top of the bottom ball there of white and one kind of near the bottom of that one. And then another one about in the middle there. We got our 3 buttons on there. Well, they're a little crooked, but we can always adjust it. You can always move them around a little bit. There we go. And then the eyes we'll put near the top of the head. Right about there. Looks good. And like I said, you just kind of gently squish them on there a little bit. There. He's coming out great. Okay. So what do we need next? We need a nose. So that's what the orange is for. So take some orange And what I like to do to make the nose is, instead of rolling it around kind of in a circle, I kind of just roll it back and forth in my fingers here like this. And that'll, if you do it towards the top, it'll make it into kind of a carrot shape like that. We got our nice carrot nose already. And I'll stick that in between his eyes. Get that on there. The hard part with this clay is once you've stuck it on there, it's kind of hard to unstick it. Now, if I was going to try to take his nose off, I could do it, but it really kind of stretches it a little too much and it makes it hard. A lot of the time, if I make a mistake with this type of clay, I will start over from the beginning sometimes even to make it look perfect. You can fix it sometimes. You can like rip things off and then put it back on, but it can be tricky. But we do have our nose on there. It looks great. Next, I want to make, let's see. Next, I want to make a scarf for him. The scarf, I think, is going to be green. So let's take some green out. And with the green, to make a nice scarf, I like to roll it on the table and make it into kind of a snake to start with. Try and make it so that it's the same thickness all the way around. So like if you see a spot like here that's getting too thick, focus on rolling that spot a little bit. And be gentle with your rolling even. It makes it easier. Roll it out nice and gentle like that. Once you get a good snake, this is pretty good. Might be a little too long, but you can always judge that when you put it on there. But then to get a good scarf then, you want to go and flatten it with your finger. Flatten the snake out on the table to get a good scarf. Flatten her out. Nice and flat scarf there. All right. You can see I've kind of flattened it a bit. And then to put it on him, I like to go from the back, take the scarf, put it around like his neck area, and then wrap the front, wrap this part around the front. So if I take this and then wrap it around like that, you see how I did that? I wrapped it around him a little bit, and then I take the other side and wrap that around the front as well. So he's got his scarf on. Looks good. It actually was about the perfect length. But if it's not the perfect length, you know, you can always pull it off and rip it off a little bit, tear off whatever's left. And you could even take the toothpicks and kind of stretch it out a little bit with the toothpicks to make it kind of frayed at the end or something. You know, you don't have to. I just take it a little bit and a little bit on the end of it, just to make the scarf a little frayed on the end. You don't have to though. All right, so now he also needs a top hat and some arms. So I think we'll do the arms next. For the arms, I like to use a toothpick. That way they can, you know, stay out that way and they won't flop down. So take the toothpick and do your best to break it in half. So find the spot where the middle is and you kind of put both your thumbs on the middle there and then break it. And it comes out, you know, pretty much the same length. If it's a little too long, you can always break off the end a little bit. All right. So for our toothpicks, to make the arms, what you want to do is take one of the toothpicks and then take some of the brown, and you kind of want to wrap all the brown around the toothpick. So I just take a clump of brown and then put the toothpick on top of it and just wrap that brown around it. So wrap that brown around the toothpick, kind of make it into an arm shape like a twig. And if you want to, you can even take it and roll it out a little bit. If it gets to be a little too long, you can always rip some of it off. You can feel where the toothpick is inside there, and you want to kind of rip it off where the end of the toothpick is. You don't want it to be too much longer than the toothpick. So you can rip it off on either end. Roll it out just a little more again to make it nice and even. We got a good arm here. We're going to put that aside for now and work on the other arm. Grab some more brown and wrap it around that toothpick. Wrap it all the way around that toothpick. Rip off the ends. There you go. Get rid of the rest of it and kind of roll it out a little bit. And before we stick it onto our snowman, we got to put some mittens on him. I want some mittens on the end of my snowman for hands. So I'm going to take some of the purple. I think it would be nice to have purple mittens. And I'm just going to roll it into a ball about this big or so that would go on the end of it. But before I stick it on there, I want to flatten it out just a little bit. Flatten out the mittens just a little bit. And I think I want a thumb on it too. You can even put a tiny, tiny little ball. Take that and flatten that out for a thumb and kind of stick it on your mitten like so. So it looks like that. And then take that and just stick that onto the end of one of the arms. There we go. We've got a mitten on his arm. You can take that and put it on one side and just kind of stick it on like that. It's got some nice arms there. Let's get the other mitten on. Get a ball about this big again. Kind of roll it out a little bit. You can even roll it, roll it in your hands if you want. Either way, and then flatten out that ball a little bit for the mitten. Looks like it's a little too big, so I'm going to rip some of that off and re-roll it. Roll it back up in my fingers or in my hands. Flatten it back out. Then put a little thumb on it. Tiny little ball that's kind of flattened. And put the thumb on it there. Stick that on the end of one of my arms, like so. And then put the arm onto his body and stick that in. There we go. Now, one last thing to make him perfect. He needs a hat. We need to make a hat for our snowman here. Let's see. What kind of hat do I want to pick? I want to make a purple hat. I think, actually, I want a red hat. I'm going to make a red hat, like a red stocking hat. So I'm just going to take some red. Yeah, that's probably a little too much. Take some red and kind of make it into like a triangle. So I can flatten one end of it with my fingers like this and kind of roll it with my other fingers. Try and get like a triangle shape, a pyramid shape with this hat. That looks to be about right. And you can kind of pull it out a little bit if you want it to be a little more shaped like that. Just kind of pull it out like so. Now I want a tiny little white poof ball on the end of it. Tiny little ball of white here. And I just stick that on the end. Got a little poof ball on the end. And then I think I'm going to spice it up just a little bit more with a little bit more white. And I want to take a little bit of white like this And I'm going to roll it out into a long, skinny snake. And then flatten it a little bit. Flatten out that snake. And I'm going to wrap it around the bottom of the hat. You don't have to do this part. You make the hat however you want. I always tell people the hat is kind of your signature on your snowman. You make it however you want. You want to put a top hat on them. You want to put a hat with earmuffs on it. Go for it. You want to put a hat with Baby Yoda on it like mine. You do whatever you want. You make the hat however you want. But I got a nice little kind of hat like there. A nice festive winter hat. And I just stick it on him. Stuck. There we go. Our snowman is done. So the only thing you have to do now is you just let him sit for probably about 2 days. You let the snowman sit for about 2 days. It'll get hard and then it'll be like that forever. You can keep your snowman forever. And mine is a cute little snowman. So what do we do with the rest of our clay? There's so much clay left over. Well, if you want to make something else with the clay, of course, just go ahead and make something else. But you can also save this clay. Now, I'm going to show you how to save this clay. And I'm going to go get something else and I'll be right back right now. So I got a sealable plastic bag and I'm going to put all my clay in this bag. If the clay touches, that's okay. But if you don't want it to touch and you only have one bag, you know, you can take some of the wrappers and wrap it back up in those wrappers to kind of keep it from touching each other and mixing. But if they do touch, you know, like if I have them touch like this, sometimes you can pull it apart. It's not too hard. There's just a little bit of color that'll transfer over. Of course, you could put every color in a separate bag if you have enough bags too. But I like to just keep the wrappers and wrap them back up in those wrappers, at least the colors that they came in. And then the other colors I'll just let sit loose in my bag. We'll put all this back in our plastic bag. Or like I said, you could just use this stuff and make something else with it. Have fun with it. The other packages we'll use next week and the week after. So each lesson will have one set of colors. So don't be afraid to just keep using it. But if you want to save it and maybe work with it on another day, put it into a plastic bag that can be sealed up. Seal it on up. And it'll stay in here. It'll be good in here. Make sure it's sealed. It'll be good in here for at least a month. You can save it in here for at least a month and it'll still be good. In fact, next week for the next lesson, I'm just going to use some of this before opening up some new stuff. But, you know, of course, if you want to make something else, go ahead and play around with it. Make something else. Today, it was mostly just to get you comfortable with mixing the colors the way that you want. But if you want to mix more colors with the rest of this clay, go for it. That's all for now. I'll see you next time. Bye.